and let's see. Let's see. Okay. Right. So we got around 10 people, 9 people. That's good. Thank you. And sorry for making you wait. Okay. Hello, good morning, everyone.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, very good morning.
Very good morning. I'm just testing anyone of you in sleepy mode on Sunday morning. Okay. Yeah. Let's start. So today I'll walk you. Anybody already knows data engineering? Anyone in this out of 9 people? Anybody already aware of what is data engineering or heard about data engineering or just know the introduction of data engineering? Anyone in these 9 people?
No PC. So I'm a MSB developer. I know the things in the MSB only. So Azure data engineer, I'm
Okay,
not aware.
great, Abhinav. So you're like me. I was a MSBA developer like 4 or 5 years back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my entire experience was MSBA developer actually, right from my career beginning. That's nice. Okay. So welcome to the journey.
Thank you.
Okay. So looks like everybody is kind of quite new to the data engineering. So let me start the session in that direction. All right. I'll walk you through data engineering. What exactly the data engineering? What are the phases of data engineering? Why it is becoming very famous? What are the phases of data engineering? And what are the technologies are important to learn? Okay, and what are the qualities you need to develop to become a data engineer? Okay, how our session goes. Okay, and how what are the contents that we are going to handle, and also what is the method of teaching. Okay, at what level I will be teaching, at what level I am not going to teaching, what you can expect from my side, what I can expect from your side, right? So these are all the things we will quickly walk through today, right? Let's start. So before jumping into actual content, let me introduce myself. Okay, so I am Purushottam Chanda, you can call me PC. So I have like around 16 years of IT experience in database, BI, ETL, and data engineering. So with various roles, I started as a developer with Wipro Technologies long back as a SQL Server Informatica developer. So I worked with Oracle, SQL Server, Informatica. Then I shifted into total SQL Server developer. Then SSIS slowly started. What is it, slowly started gaining prominence. Then I learned myself SSIS because of one of the project requirement. Then that's how I became completely MSBA ETL developer, right? So I work with various roles. Like I worked with the developer, I worked as a dev lead, I worked as offshore lead, and I worked even like unofficially I worked as an architect, right? Various roles. So for the past 4 or 5 years, when this data engineering started prominence, is then I started going through that, and luckily I got a project in my previous company. Then I continued with that. So that's how my journey became, and it was very interesting when I switched from MSBI to data engineering because of like close proximity between the ADF, because that is the first technology that aligned data factory. So I started I started gaining interest in that, and I started exploring more and more. Then I learned myself everything. Then I learned about the exam. Then there were 2 exams, actually DP-200 201 exam. So I learned myself. Then I cracked it. Then I became data engineer. Then I went on executing multiple projects. Then that experience helped me to land into current product-based company from Hyderabad. Okay. It's in the Hyderabad and working in mortgage company. So I worked with the database development, database lead, and QA, database testing, whatnot. But everything was only with a database. I never got into application programming, unfortunately, which is also one of the drawbacks from my side. But for now, everything is related to the data. And currently, I work with as a one of the progress company. as a Devli senior consultant or architect, various roles I play, and I'm responsible for all the deliverables for client. Yeah, that's about myself. And yeah, I'm Microsoft certified Azure data engineer. I was talking about the same 200 and 202 exams further, which I attempted and cracked it. At that time, now it's only one exam, that's DP-203, which you might have known. And my exam certification is getting expired this month or the next month, first week. So that is the reason I'm preparing for that, for renewal. Maybe by this month end, I should be able to attempt the exam again. And yeah, so Microsoft certified trainer. So apart from that, I do train the people. I used to train MSBI and all within my current organization, the previous organization. And in the current organization, I train the freshers, I train the people who want to switch to data engineering. I design the content like as extra activity, and I take multiple trainings outside, within inside. So that's how I became Microsoft certified trainer. I got certificate, and this got expired last month. I got it renewed just last week, right? So that's where I have exclusive access to all the Microsoft content. And yeah, so despite I have great job with a good package, but still I do train the people, teach the people, because I'm more of interested in teaching and knowledge sharing. I enjoy the teaching actually. So I know like this morning, this makes me rush, and because just before my actual job starts, but still I continue because I just enjoy teaching, knowledge sharing. I go to the colleges, I go to the schools, I mentor the kids, I mentor the engineering graduates, and even I sponsor them, whatnot. So I do so many things outside of my office role. But thanks to COVID, I got a good gap where I disconnected with the students and just started doing from past 1 month again. So let me check. Let's check how does it goes in the future months. That's about myself, right? And about yourself, we'll try to do at the end of the session or coming sessions. It's too early to go, right? So that's about myself, and yeah. So let's start into data engineering. And I'm sure most of you, not most of you, none of you are from Telugu background, I feel.
I am from Telugu. Narsimha.
Oh, okay, okay. So usually I take the sessions, not this session I'm talking about. I take the sessions for some of the people who are even from the Telugu also. So that's where with the majority of the people are Telugu, then I keep mixing Telugu as well sometimes to make it more comfortable. Okay, Telugu kuda approval cheptanu, but it doesn't mean that I explain only in Telugu. So what I do is I explain everything in English. But some people, if you are not people are not comfortable, then I will switch to Telugu for a couple of minutes and explain the same thing in Telugu also. That's way I do actually.
Yes.
Yeah, because
yes. Explaining in Telugu is not full worthy to learn all these things, right?
Yeah. Not worth. So because like I do get some pressures as well in my training. So those people request me to switch to Telugu for a couple of minutes. So that is the reason I do that answer. Okay. But
Okay.
this batch, I'm not sure whether I'll be doing that or not. But usually when the freshers are more who are from the Telugu rural background, I do add some Telugu there actually. Okay, otherwise no, don't worry about that. Okay, because I am from a rural Telugu medium background, so so that is
Me also.
Okay, that's nice.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, Mahendra, please tell me.
Yeah, actually, if you are saying anything in Telugu, it I guess that would be the same words which you are saying in English.
Yeah, no. See, if
because we won't understand it because
no,
we are
Mahendra, I'm not saying that I'm going to use Telugu in this current batch. I'm just saying that.
I'm sorry. Because
what I say is that if I
some words we can understand, but not whole.
No. I don't teach in Telugu. What I'm saying is that if I say something in English, if I feel that the people cannot catch the especially freshers.
Yeah, got it. The base idea, I got it.
Yeah, I will repeat the same thing in Telugu. I'm saying.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So because I know, because I am from Telugu medium background. Till +2 I studied in Telugu. I am from a Telugu medium government school background. So that is the reason I know the people where they're stuck if I speak something. So that is the reason I repeat the same thing in Telugu again. if there are more freshers, more like with zero experience people, that is, but I don't think here I'll get that issue. Okay. Yeah. Don't worry about it. All right. Okay. So let's start about the data engineering. What is data engineering? What are the phases of data engineering? How does it looks like kind of? Okay. So before data engineering, you know that data engineering is more of with the cloud actually. So most of the things where it get connected with the cloud. So that is the reason I do want to take a basic definition of the cloud to explain you to let you know the difference. Okay. All right. Yeah. So let's kick start now. So let's go with the cloud and what is on. So how many of you know the what is on premises? Does anybody know what is on premises? What do you mean by on premises? ONPREMISES. What is that?
Is it on premises?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
What is
it's a infrastructure and all those compute power, storage, everything is owned by that company only, which is providing service to another like company. Like for example, I'm a Facebook user, but Facebook has its own infrastructure as well as the Facebook service it is providing. So its own on premises, and if it is taking any that infrastructure service from any other provider like Azure, Google, and AWS, and then it would be the third party.
right? That's great. So what do you do, Mahendra?
I'm a software engineer, like I'm on .NET and little bit on cloud.
Application programming, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. How much experience you have?
I'm having around 11 years of experience.
Okay. Totally into application programming.
Yeah, but from last 2 years I've been using little bit Azure as well.
Okay. Cloud. Okay. All right.
And DevOps.
Oh, great. So let's talk about the cloud, and before that, let's talk about the on-premise environment. What is on-premise environment? So it's kind of a private cloud, private data center. So like usually like few years back. So whenever you want to develop application, whenever you're working in application, everything used to be managed by the on-premises environment, right? Say suppose I'm working for an SSI developer, I'm working in an application development in SSIS, right? So the data will be there in the sources. I get the data, I will extract it, I will load it, I will transform. But all these things will be done using the only private data centers. Okay, that means my client data center might be in US. Okay, I'll get connected to that, or in my own office, I'll connect it to that, I'll process it, everything will be done. Right? That's how I do. So there is an on-premises environment where the data centers will be in the client location or our location. Physical location will be managed by ourselves, the user system. Right? That's a private data center. That's on-premises environment. Say suppose you are a new guy to the application development and you want to set up a company. Suppose myself, I want to set up a company with a product-based company. Okay, I want to develop a product. Okay, I want to set up a company. So what I will do now, I will go for a physical place. Okay, I'll set up a physical place like maybe my home, my flat, or some corporate office, some office I will take. Okay, then I will set up the software, the hardware, the CPUs, the systems, then I will install operating systems, then I will install database and all whatnot. Everything I need to take care of myself. Right? That's what I do when it comes to the data center. Right? Now what I will do, once I set up everything, I start developing my application. Okay. Now then I will process it, I'll deploy it and expose the same product to the other people to use it. Okay, say suppose I'm developing a telemarketing, not telemarketing, e-commerce application like Amazon. I have an application. Okay, I started using that. Now most of my customers are in US or Western countries. Now I nicely update my content and everything. Those people start using that. That's how my application goes on, right? So now here what's happening? Everything I'm taking care. I'm taking care of the software. I'm taking care of the hardware. I'm taking care of the developing application, build, deploy, networking, everything I'm taking care. I'm not giving the chance to anyone, right? So is kind of a people dependent now. Okay, because I am organizing my own data center. Now what happens in on-premise environment is all called on-premises environment. It's also called private cloud, private data center is all. So what happens suddenly your application is have some products which are Indian based, and most of the users are from the Western countries like Europe and US. Okay, suddenly what happened on one fine day, your building got some issues like power fluctuation and you don't have any power backup. Then what happens? You don't have any alternative, your application will be down. Then what happens? The people who are trying to access your application, they are no longer going to access your application, right? Your system is stuck. Say suppose within your building, the building got some issue, some fire accident. When the night everybody leave to office, the fire accident happened, then everything got crashed. Your data crashed, everything is crashed because you are managing the data center only in that particular building. Then they're gone, right? And say suppose with worst case I'm taking, so just don't take me seriously. So some earthquake happened, or some US, your data center is in US, and some tornado, what do you say, this some natural disaster happens. Then what happened? Entire thing is gone. You're not even able to recover it. Your application is gone. You cannot recover it. Your data is gone. Everything is gone, right? So these are all the major disadvantages of the on-premises environment, right? And say suppose your application is working fine, and suddenly your application becomes very famous. Okay, now in the Christmas season, that's the festival season in Western countries, they do a lot of shopping, right? Now suddenly the people started hitting your website a lot and lot, right? So usually your customer base only for 10,000 users, your customer base, your 10,000 users, and like 1,000 products. Now suddenly what happened? The 10,000 users become 20,000, 30,000. Okay, but your system, your application is capable of handling only 10,000 users. Then what happens? Your system gets crashed, right? So to overcome that problem, what you will do? You will add some servers. You will add some. You will enhance your infrastructure, right? Because your system gets crashed, then what happens? The people get frustrated. Then you leave your application. Your credibility of your application is gone, right? That is the problem. So what happens now? The people says that okay, this is the issue. You've identified the issue. You add some servers. Okay. So from December 1st week to January last week, your application is supporting this entire additional infrastructure. But after January, the additional infrastructure you are adding, that's no longer being used. That become, the people become normal. Now what happened? The whatever the infrastructure then invested, that is gone. They're waste of money because you are no longer using that. Why do you need that? Right? So again, you're additionally you're incurring additional cost without any purpose. These are all some disadvantages of the regular on-premises environment. So to overcome this issue, slowly people started research in the cloud, and they got the concept of the cloud. Cloud is the rain cloud. No, it's not rain cloud. So whatever the services I was talking about when I was developing application, I develop application storage, computer power, networking, everything that will be handled by the servers. Give me a minute. Somebody is calling me mobile. 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I was talking about, so to overcome that, so whatever the services that you are working, whatever the services that you are taking care of, like storage, like you, yeah, it is not, okay, I am the host. Okay. So these are the cloud providers. Now we spoke about the cloud. Now let us talk about the what is data engineer then, right? So before going into data engineering, let me come from the basic, like what happened in the earlier stages. So earlier stages, when the software came into picture, when the application development came into picture, so we used to have somebody called database developer. So what happens? The same application I'm developing, some web application I'm developing, or some Windows application I'm developing. What happens? It used to have the front end, the back end, everything they will have, right? So back end, what the back end will have? The back end will have the database, the table, the what do you say, the procedures, functions. The database developer used to develop all these things to support the front end. That was the role and responsibility of the database developer, right? So when the database developer does all these things, okay, so the application will be proper and up and running. Right? That's how. Right now, it's the end of the day or end of the month or end of the week. Suppose the top management, what they will do, say, suppose the same supermarket, suppose I have supermarket called Reliance, and I have some Windows application or some application to keep track of the invoices, the products, inventory, whatnot, everything I'm taking care of it. And the backend, we are storing the data in the Oracle database or SQL Server database, right? So at the end of the day, what they do, the company wanted some report. So what they do, they will fire some queries, they will write some queries against your same database. Okay, they will get the reports, okay, and they will analyze it. Then they will start thinking about how my application would be. Right? This is what the generally the people do. Right? The same database you are using for the transactions, the same transactions, because if you are going to supermarket, you are performing some you're buying something, there's a transaction. If something is added to the go down, I mean to say the inventory, that is the transaction. So all the transactions are happening in the transaction database. The same transaction database you are using for the, there is a transaction database, the same transaction database you are using for the reporting as well. So what happens over the period of time, like after 1 year or 6 months or 2 years, the data keeps on growing, the data will be very huge. Okay, so the same database you're using for the transactions, some same database you're using also for the reporting, which is invalid. Okay, because the database is getting many hits, then there will be performance issues for the reporting queries and as well as for the database development also, transactions also, right? So they realize this problem. Okay, they realize the problem because the same database you're using for the reporting and as well as for the transaction. Then they started a separate thing called data warehouse, DWH. Okay, so they thought we should have a separate mechanism for the data warehouse. It's not a good thing to use same database for the reporting and all. Then the concept of DWH came to picture, data warehouse. So what they do, whatever the data we have in the transaction database, that will be picked up at regular intervals, the data will be loaded into the data warehouse, right? That's how the data warehouse came into picture. So initially there was a guy called database developer. Now the concept of data warehouse developer or BI developer or ETL developer, these are all roles came into picture. Okay, so as the data goes on increasing from multiple levels, the database, flat files and all, so ETL developer gets the data from the transaction database, load into the data warehouse for the reporting purpose, right? Now see, the role was earlier the database developer. Now the role became BI developer, ETL developer, data warehouse developer. More and more more and more roles came into picture with respect to data, right? That's about the data engineering. So that's about the data warehouse. Now, over the period of time, what happens slowly? What happens slowly? So what happened slowly? The data warehousing came into picture. So now slowly at that time the internet came into picture. Okay, because the internet got its prominence, and what do you say? Its technology became more and more. Okay, many applications came into picture. Many different fields came into picture. Like we have IoT devices, we have like databases, like we have social media, Twitter, is this all, and also we have streaming data, batch data, so much data came into picture, right? When this data become very high, huge volumes, the companies realize, so data is a huge, now it's the right time to pick up this data and make a better planning for the future. Okay, we need to analyze this data and make a future predictions in a better way. That's how the data science came into picture. Okay, data science is what? Analyzing the current data and predicting the future by creating the models, A and ML models for the future. Okay, that's how data science came into picture. But to do that in the data science, we needed data, but the data is across multiple levels. Say suppose the same Reliance I'm talking about, or some hospital management I'm talking about, the data spread across multiple files, multiple tables, multiple sources. Okay, so the data can be Oracle, the JSON. So and earlier everything used to be structured data only. Database is nothing but a structured data. Yes, Shambhaji Shavan, sorry, you have some question?
I have one doubt here.
Yes, please tell me.
Data engineer who is working on Azure Data Factory only, or is there any other responsibilities he is having?
I'll talk about it. The further slides will talk about in detail what you do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk.
Thank you.
Yeah, where are we? Yeah. So that's how data science needs all this data. So there's a problem now. Okay. Now the data is spread across because the one company can have structured data. The company have unstructured data. That means earlier they used to have only structured data. That means rows and columns. Now you have JSON data, the streaming data. We have like a huge number of data, social media data, and multiple forms because everything is a data now. If you post something in a Facebook, there is a data. If you post something in Twitter, there is a data. If you upload some photo or reel into the Instagram, there is a data, right? And if you are going with a great speed in the highway, suddenly your speed is being captured and immediately a alert will be generated to your mobile. Then that is a data. And you are crossing your signal, then your photo is captured, then there is a data, right? And in the automobile industry, like as the autos are getting assembled with all the parts, so what happens, the parts will be assembled, and during that process it will check the quality check kind of, that is also data. See, everything is a data because we are reducing the more and more manual intervention, so the data become huge. Now it's a responsibility of the people, organization, to collect the data, all the data, to analyze it further and give it to the data scientist. But who will do that? That's where the data engineer came into picture. Okay, so what the data engineer does? Data engineer gets the data from all these sources, he refines it, he transfers it, and gets the data to give the data to the data scientist for the future planning. Right? So that's where the data engineer came into picture. So what he will do, data engineer? He gets the data from the multiple sources because the data is there, multiple sources, multiple formats. He gets the data into a common ground in a common format, single format, common place, and give it to the users, right? So that's what a data engineer. Right? There's a source one. Morib, you have some doubt?
Hey, hi. So I have a question. So right now, as we already have a data in some other storage, and right now we are collating data and putting it into some other storage. So don't you think this is going to be a duplicacy of data?
No. Let me tell you why it's not duplicated data.
Yeah, please.
So this data is spread across in a raw format. The data is in the raw format and it's have something different format. And this is in JSON, say suppose this is in CSV, this is Oracle, and one more is there in the web application, web data. All this thing, this data is there. But the data science need a standard data in a same format. And it might not need all this data. It needs some data which is essential in a common format. That's where the data engineer comes into picture. So data engineer gets this data from multiple sources. He makes into a common format in a single place, okay, single storage location, so that data scientist will consume this data, right? He gets this data, he transfers it to a common format and give it to the data scientist. So that's where data science came into picture, because you cannot transfer all this data to the sources. You need to get this into temporary location and refine it further and give it to the finally to the source, finally to the data scientist. That's where the data scientist comes into, data engineer come into picture. So getting this data, converting and making into available for the people is called, this development, entire application development is called a pipeline. It's called a pipeline. So what is a pipeline? It gets the data from the number of sources and storing them in a single warehouse where the data will be in a common format. So this developing of this pipeline will be done by the data engineer, right? So the professional who builds a pipeline to transfer the data into formats that are readable and usable for the data scientist or BI developers or anyone. Okay, this is called a data engineer. Now you got what a data engineer does that? I'm going to explain further more slides, but just high level, this is the basic definition of the data engineer. Now you got what a data engineer does at high level? Now, Simon, you got?
Yep.
Okay, everybody silent. That's fine. Now, we spoke about this. Now, let us quickly go through the difference between the data engineer and data scientist. What he does? So, what is the data scientist does? He creates hypothesis, test, analyze, and translate using the clean data. He will take the clean data, he creates the hypothesis, he will test it, he will analyze it, and finally, he gives the meaningful data to the he will take the clean data, he will create the A and ML models. Okay, but that clean data who will provide? The clean data provided will be provided by the data engineer. So data scientist takes the clean data and create hypothesis, but data engineer design, builds and arrange the data to be clean. That is the difference between data engineer and data scientist. Now, if you see this data science, now see what is how much important the data engineer for a data science project, because it's kind of a backbone for this data science project. He is the one who is going to arrange all this data to be clean and provide to the data scientist. That is the reason, as the data science keep on increasing its market share, more and more projects, data engineers also gets it's more important, more and more important. Right? So that is about the data engineer and data scientist. Now, let us talk about what are the important phases of a data engineering. Okay, so how many phases would be there? What exactly data engineer does in a broader, in the large term? So let us see that. Now, as I said, the data is spread across multiple sources, multiple formats. Now, data engineer is the responsible for getting this data and give it to the data scientist or data BI developer. That is the responsibility of the data. Now, what I will do? First, we will do. So these are 4 phases: ingest, store, prepare and train, model and show. These are the 4 phases of the data engineer. These 4 are irrespective of any data engineering technology. That means if you go for GCP data engineering or AWS data engineering or Azure data engineering, the terminology would be same. Sorry, the concept would be same. The terminology might change, but essentially these are the 4 phases which we have. Right? Now, let us see what is ingest. Ingest is nothing but connecting to all the external data sources and getting into this extracting is nothing but ingestion. So in this example, for ingesting that one, we are using the technology called Azure Data Factory. So these technologies might change based on the data volume, cost, the processing speed, the source type. So based on this, what are the technologies I'm showcasing in this particular slide, they might change. But ingestion is the first phase where the data will be extracted. That is, in this example, I am using the Azure Data Factory. Now, the next phase would be store. What is the store? So once you get the data from all these external sources, temporarily, you are going to store it in a temporary storage first before going forward. So there is a phase of the store where you will store the data primarily. So in this example, I am using Azure Data Lake Storage. Right now, once it is done, so the next thing would be you need to convert the data into simple format, common format, and also to make sure that you are converting the data in such a way that it meets the requirement of the data scientist or reporting developer. Sorry. So that's where prepare and train comes into picture. So basically it's converting the data, transforming the data, right? So that's where this comes into picture. So in this example, I'm using the Azure Databricks to convert the data. So once the data is converted, finally you're storing the data into the data warehouse or Cosmos DB based on the output and creating the data warehouse and finally giving to the Power BI reporter or data scientist. So this phase is called model and serve. Okay, so this is what the data engineering does. It gets the data, it stores it, it converts it, it will load the data into model. So just ignore this one. Okay, but it loads the data into data warehouse. Is a data warehouse in this example. Data Azure data warehouse now it's called dedicated SQL pool. Now here I'm using the dedicated SQL pool for converting data. Sometimes this also might change. The technology, whatever the tools I'm showcasing here, this might change, but overall the concept is same. Ingestion, store, prepare and train, model. So these are 4 phases where the data engineering deals with. Now somebody asked what is the difference with Azure Data Factory. So in this example, Azure Data Factory is one of the tools being used for ingestion phase. Right? So these are the high level 4 phases of the data engineering. Now, in a nutshell, at high level, if you talk about the same thing which were explained in the previous slides. So what is the data engineering? A BI plus big data. That means you are performing a business intelligence operations on the big data. What is the big data? If somebody asks you what is the big data is nothing but the data which is huge in the volumes, spread across to multiple sources, multiple formats is the big data. Okay, the data, multiple formats, multiple sources, and data volumes is huge. That is a big data. Now you are going to perform on that. You're going to analyze it, you're going to ingestion it, you'll process it, you store it, you give the right access and the right data to the right people. These are all essentially the responsibility of the data engineer. Right? So these are the data engineer. So anybody has any doubts so far? Everybody got the basic idea of what exactly data engineering is, what exactly data engineering does? Omkar, Ramesh, Swapnil?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
it's pretty clear. All good.
Great, good to know that. So somebody fetched something. Oh, Mahendra. Yes. Oh. So Narasimha, you got it?
Yes. I'm on par with you.
Okay, that's great, wonderful. Okay. Now we spoke about what is data engineering. We spoke about the various phases of the data engineering. Now let us see what you need to learn, what you need to know to become a data engineer. Where is that? Yeah. So what exactly a skill set a data engineer will need to have. And these are the skill set to become a good data engineer. These are not a prerequisite for this course. These are the prerequisite to become a data engineer. Okay, you should understand the difference. Now, what are the data engineering skills? The first skill is a SQL. Yes. So whenever I speak something called data, then SQL immediately comes into picture. Okay, whether you are working as a files, whether you are working with structured data, non-structured data, definitely, even though you are not writing the SQL queries, still you will think in terms of the SQL, right? So that is the reason SQL is kind of an essential skill, right? SQL is an essential skill. So you don't need to be master in the SQL, but you need to have good basic knowledge in the SQL. like how to create the tables, the DDL commands, how to create the simple procedures, and how to write the select queries, join, sub queries. You should have some good understanding of these basics. That is the reason SQL is kind of a basic skill a data engineer must have. Now, data modeling techniques. So over the period of time, you will learn this. So you don't need to worry about it. So what is data modeling techniques? Because the data is in the multiple formats, multiple sources, but you need to get the data into common formats to make to so that the end user consumes them. So that is the reason you should know how to model the data. Okay, how to create the target tables, the target files based on the requirement by taking the data from the source. So that is the reason you should have also data modeling, ETL and BI skills. Yes. So ETL BI skills is mandatory, not mandatory, but it's good to have because it's more of an extension of ETL and BI. So that is the reason you should know what are the ETL basics, what are the BI basics, kind of. Give me a minute. Sorry for Sunday morning. Yeah. Somebody pasted some question due to work emergency. I'm dropping off Narsimha. Okay, that's it. So architecture projections, tools, platforms, libraries. These are all the things you must know. So architecture projections means like which technology you need to use when. Okay, what technology you need to use when. So because you have so many applications, so many things, you also should know what to use when. Okay, in this previous example, I used data factory. Sometimes you might need to use some other. So previous example, I used data bricks for the conversion. Sometimes you might need to use only SQL procedures. Sometimes you might need to use only Azure Data Factory. It keeps on changes. Though that thing you should be able to project it. That you should be able to understand it. When you will get that idea, when you have good understanding on all these tools, then you should be able to decide. Ability to connect the dots from source to destination, because various sources, various formats, everything. So you should be able to connect all the dots from the sources to destination. How you want to, how you need to get the data into the target. That is also one of the good requirement to get to know. And apart from this, cloud, of course, because you should know what is cloud, what is the things and all, because that is a basic thing you must understand. So you need to understand what is cloud, because data engineering is more of it depends upon the cloud. In this example, Azure is the essential skill where you need to learn the good basics. Okay, where we'll be covering some essential skills. Python is not mandatory, but it is good to know the basics of Python, because in the PySpark, in the Databricks, you will be writing some of the simple transformations and all in the PySpark in this one. Okay, that is the reason. So getting to know Python is a good to know. Okay, these are the essential skills to become a good data engineer, right? And here we are going to cover ETL BI basics as part of training. You don't need to worry about it. Don't get scared, because I'm going to take 1 or 2 sessions exclusively for the ETL BI, and for Python also, for Python interaction, for Python basics also, I'm going to take 2 sessions before I jump into Databricks, right? SQL, somebody is asking, SQL Server is not getting in our course. Yeah. So SQL Server is not part of this course, but if the more people are new to SQL, I'll be taking 1 session to quickly go through the SQL. Also, I'll be giving you to the important links to go through that, right? So these are all the skill set you need to learn. And how the job market is there? Let's see the job market. So demand for data engineers. So as I said, more and more data engineers, data science products coming into picture. You need more and more data engineers. So there is a reason demand of data engineers is huge. It's more than 50% of the job market is being occupied by the data engineer because of all these changes. Why it's becoming more and more famous? Because suppose I'm going for a data science project, my organization, then I need data engineer. Suppose I want to construct a data warehouse. Now it's no longer a ETL developer, BI developer come into picture now. There is no data warehousing developer. Everybody is a data engineer now. So for constructing a data warehouse, because of the huge data, obviously go for the cloud. So there also you need a data engineer. And whatever the on-premises legacy big data projects are there, Hadoop and all, those also slowly migrating to the data engineering projects. So those also you need data engineers. And also you need you have some of the data in the on-premises environment, you want to migrate to the data, cloud data. There also you need to data engineer. See, so in several 4 to 5 scenarios, you need data engineer. So that is the reason the demand of data engineer is becoming more and more. That is the reason you are seeing more and more in the jobs. So I'm sure about it in next 4 5 years, for next 4 5 years, for next 10 years, data engineering is going to be leader in providing the opportunities, right? So that's about the data engineer. Now, who can take this course? Who can become a data engineer? Who is a good fit for the data engineer? Database developer is a good fit. Okay, because already the guy knows about the database server, tables, blah blah blah. So that is the reason it is good to have. BI ETL developer, because if you already BI ETL developer like Informatica, SSI, SSSR, MMS, BI, data stage, all those developers are there. So they already know of the basics. It's good to be get into data engineering, because slowly the number of projects in the ETL, number of projects in the database development goes down. Everything become a data engineer. Even if you are working in the database developer, that role is also being called data engineering. There is no role of a database developer. Do you see any requirement saying that you need ETL developer, database developer, maximum jobs? No. Everybody needs a data engineer. DBS, you know that the traditional DBS deals with the data day-to-day life, but nowadays, as more and more people going for the cloud, the role of data in DBA is getting reduced. That is the reason it's good to have a data engineering for the DBA. Now let's talk about the big data developer. So in the big data developer also, the number of projects are getting migrated more and more to the data engineering. So and big data developer already knows the concept of big data, the processing and all. For them also, it is very easy and good to get into the data engineering. Data analyst, if you are reporting developer, Tableau reporter, what do you call SSRS reporter or Power BI reporter, for you to get to know about the data engineering, how the data travels from one end to another, for you also is good to know. Application developer, if you're .NET developer, Java developer, it's fantastic combination for the application development plus data engineering development, because sometimes you might need to write some extensive programming where the people looks for this combination. That is the reason for application developers also is very good choice. Now, freshers. If you are just a fresher, you are just trying your hands in the software industry, and you're just landed in the crossroad, for you also it's good opportunity, because the thing is that 1 second. I'm sorry, it is an important message from the office. Yeah. So for fresher also, because as the jobs are more and more, the opportunities more and more, because of more and more products are coming, people are finding tough to get the database jobs, data engineers. So that is the reason even they are hiring the freshers with the data engineering capabilities. So for freshers also is good to have. So these are all the people can start very easily the data engineering course, right? So for the exam, we have DP-203 exam. If you want to crack the exam, you need to get to know about the data storage, processing, security, storage and processing. If you know all these things, you can crack the exam for the DP-203 very easy. Right, this is about the data engineering. What all a data engineering must have, what are the essential skills and all. Now the technologies. So what are the technologies? Sorry for typo in the technologies, which I did not recognize earlier. So in the technologies, so what are the content you must know for the Azure data engineering? So you need to have Azure storage account, Azure SQL, Azure Data Factory, Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure Databricks. So these are the 5 essential skills you must know to become a good data engineer. So which we are going to cover also as part of the training. So Azure data storage account to store the data primarily, SQL for SQL operation, Data Factory for extraction and ingestion through orchestration tool, Synapse Analytics. There is a new technology came into picture. Now Microsoft is investing a lot, because this is going to change entire data engineering world in the coming years. because it is single place where everything you can do in a single place. Ingestion, store, processing, data science, everything you can collaborate in a single place. That is the reason Synapse Analytics become very famous. Here we have SQL pool. Sorry for my writing. We have Spark pool. We have HTAB. We have pipelines. Pipeline is nothing but again like a ADF only. So these are all the things you can perform in a single place. That is the reason Synapse Analytics become very famous, and slowly the customers are choosing Synapse Analytics like anything. Okay, so getting to know the Synapse Analytics is kind of a mandatory nowadays to become a good Azure data engineer. And of course, Databricks also we are going to cover. These are the 5 things we are going to cover in detail as part of this training. Right, that's about the today demo. Do you have any questions? Anybody has any questions?
So I have one question about the timings of the classes.
Yeah, the
And
timing
when
would
we can
be
start.
8 a.m. to 9 a.m. weekly 5 days. Sometimes it might take even in the weekend.
Sure. And what is the duration of the course?
So duration of the course will be around 40 sessions.
Okay. Thank you.
And this is the regular speed which I will be going. So before that, yeah. So Ganesh, can you stop recording?